Hello. Oh, my knees. Scandalous, am I right? So I have some food here and I'm gonna eat it. It's not really important to me that anyone can see it because, I mean, honestly, this is for me. You can't eat this, so there you go. Why do I feel like the people who are not even watching this video are dogs? And I'm like, look at this yummy chip that I have. Look at it. Yum, yum, yum. You can't have any. That's kind of sadistic. But it's like socially acceptable sadism. I will not elaborate. Anyway, this is chicken. Wait, I should cut it. Dude, how does anybody do a motor skill while speaking? I literally cannot do more than one thing at once. Oh. I told my ex that I started um, making videos like on YouTube. I really wanted to start a channel where I'm just unabashedly myself and say all of the things that like I don't think I could ever say to anybody else ever. And that's pretty freeing because like in a lot of my personal relationships I feel like I can't be myself because I fear that if I'm just me, if I let the anger loose, if I really share how I'm feeling, that I'm gonna lose support and they're gonna leave me and then I'm gonna have no one and then I'll have to take care of myself. And am I good at that? No, I suck at that. It's hard to talk about, honestly. But yeah, I told them about it and they were like, I'm gonna go try to find it. And I'm like, well, you're not gonna find it and I'm not gonna show you. And they're like, oh yeah, you'll show me eventually. No, I won't. You don't need to know all about like my weird anger and my angst over not being with you. That's weird. Well, and the thing too is like they already know about the angst that I feel regarding not being able to be in a relationship with them. But they don't need to see it in this format. They can get that in a Discord message after I just woke up and like had a nightmare and be like, wow, I'm so lonely. There's a hole in my heart. Can something fill it? Not a dick though, ew. But like, God. I fucking hate everything. I know that. I know that about myself. I hate everything. It's weird. I like tried to go to Home Goods with my mom earlier, which like debatably has the worst rugs I've ever seen. They all look like they were left out in the sun for multiple weeks and were like bleached and faded by the sun. Who would want that? And like most of them were beige, off-white, and gray. Ew. Can we have a little color, please? Just a little. The only good rug in Home Goods my mom didn't like. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, so I understand cognitively like a little bit that like people have different tastes, but you like sad gray beige rugs that look like they were just left out too long. And then I have to like take a step back and be like, am I being a little too tistic? Is there no possible way that anyone could like a rug I think is puke worthy? And then I also have to think like, I must be really stressed out that I'm so adamant that my mom's taste in rugs is shit. Like, what does that matter? It's a rug. But yeah, I'm pretty stressed out. Why am I so pathetic? I just ate a green bean, and my thought was, oh, I wish my ex was here. We could Lady and the Tramp it. And that brings me back to like something else. Like, I think the most toxic things, like, I fell in love with my friend who was married, and we entered this like Hinge. And initially, like, there was consent from all parties. Like, their husband was like, yes, this is cool, green light. Um, sorry, I just don't really want to share about that. Because, like, I'm involved in that too. Um, good green bean though. Mmm. Potato. Of the mashed variety though. It's good. Mm. This is good. Believe it or not, I've never seen Arcane. I saw the first episode. I keep trying to watch it, and I keep getting distracted. It's like one of the worst things about like being a system is you can't get anything done. Cause like I might have a task that I want to do, or like a hobby, or like watch a show. I might have a plan, but somebody else has a different plan, and they're ready to implement that plan at the expense of mine. And you might say, well, okay, how about you just communicate better then? It's not that easy. We are trying. And that brings up an interesting point, which is that we were in therapy for 6 years, and our therapist was aware that we're a system. And I asked her, how do I cope with this? The time loss, the feeling of being hijacked, the fear of ending up places you don't know how you got there. Just like the general sense of just discomfort with who you are, not even knowing. Um, and she just said communication, like with the other alters. And I was like, okay, how do I do that? And she's like, well, you write to them. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. However, I'm also autistic, and I need information presented in a very clear manner, a very clear and direct manner. Um, and like, sorry, ew, digestion, gross. So there's like, um, I lost it. That's the other thing too. part of like my DID for me is even if someone like interjects very briefly, fronts very briefly, and then leaves, it interrupts my whole train of thought. And I'll stop like mid sentence and I won't be able to finish it, and then I can't get it back. And like when I was younger, I had this the same way that I do now, and it frustrated me to no end. And I'd tell my mom, I'm like, I forget things so often, and she'd be like, "Oh, it's okay. That's normal." No, it is not normal. Like maybe the experience is normal, but not the volume of it, not the intensity of it. It is not normal to go into nearly any room as you walk through the doorway and have no clue why you're entering it. That's like normal once in a while, but not like most of the time. It's not normal to have your mom bring you a jacket you don't remember and be like, "Here's your jacket," and then you go, "That isn't mine. Whose is that? Why are you trying to give that to me?" That's not normal. And the thing too is like there's so many stories that I could tell that illustrate that I have DID, dating as far back as like maybe like 5. And no one ever did anything. No one ever picked up on it. And that makes me just so angry. It like makes me feel this sense of loss. And it makes me feel too like, was I not good enough? Did I not deserve someone to notice what was going on? That like I couldn't deal with life? And another thing too is like I was diagnosed with depression by 9 years old. That's not normal. And no one ever thought to think like this 9-year-old has been diagnosed with depression. What is happening in her life? What trauma has she gone through? It grinds my gears. It absolutely fucking grinds my gears that no one ever picked up on this. And then supposedly it's like 7 years in the mental health care system is like, whatchamacallit, how long it takes for someone with DID to like get properly diagnosed and treated or whatever. And like in my case, I don't have a formal diagnosis. It's something that I'm trying to get. Well, not like I'm going out of my way to like manipulate things to get the diagnosis. I know I have DID. A therapist I saw for 6 years can attest to that, as well as like literally anyone in my life. But the reason I really feel like I need the diagnosis is like, what if I want to heal and improve enough so that I can get a job. And if I get a job, I'm going to need to get accommodations for the amnesia that I experience. I'm going to need some grace. If like I go to work, right, and it's like an alter that hasn't been trained or doesn't know the job and they're just there, they're gonna need grace. Like I'm gonna need the employer to know the situation and like be like, okay, this specific alter hasn't done this before. They might need to ask some more questions. And then another thing too is that when I get well enough and I can get everyone on board enough to the point that like we can go forward with any kind of goal, I'd love to go to school. Like I really want to go to college. And sorry, I'm getting emotional. And if I can go to college, like I'm also gonna need accommodations for the amnesia. There's part of me that's just really sad that I haven't gotten to go to college. There's like a lot of reasons why. Like my feeling on why I didn't get to go to college is that I was so traumatized by the time that I became of age to go to college that it just wasn't even possible. I was angry. I was having outbursts. I was quite frankly scared shitless I knew high school sucked. I knew my adolescence sucked. I knew my childhood sucked. But I knew adulthood was looming right over me. And I knew that I did not have the mental health to get a job at that point. But I also knew that jobs are how you sustain yourself. That you need to work to earn money, to have enough money to have an apartment, to have enough money for food, to live. And I was aware that I wasn't going to be able to do that. And I feel sometimes that I lost so much. I lost so much because people couldn't just keep their hands to themselves, essentially, is what it feels like. They couldn't keep their creepy comments to themselves. They couldn't keep their dumb actions to themselves. And now I'm here. And I'm so unhappy. And I feel like it's my fault all of the time. I think, well, maybe I just wasn't a good kid. Maybe I was a brat. Maybe it was just too hard to deal with like an autistic kid. Maybe it was just too hard. And like maybe it was for some ooh. Oof. The wonders of dissociation right there. God. What have you done?